unlocking the secret world of rare American coins where every Jefferson nickel tells a hidden story, and today we reveal 3 rare Jefferson nickels so valuable and mysterious they could turn an ordinary pocket change discovery into a life-changing treasure hunt. Step into the world of hidden treasures where every coin tells a story. Today we uncover the secrets of the 1956 Jefferson nickel, a small piece of American history that might just hold a fortune in your pocket. The Jefferson nickel has been a cornerstone of American coinage since it was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel that had circulated for a quarter century. The 1956 Jefferson nickel represents not just a piece of mid-20th century currency, but also a fascinating chapter in the story of American history. The coin itself was designed by Felix Schlag, whose portrait of Thomas Jefferson was selected in a competition held by the United States. Schlag's design featured the left-facing bust of Jefferson on the obverse, with the simple inscription of the word "Liberty," the date of issue, and the national motto, "In God We Trust," the reverse, showcased Monticello Jefferson's home in Virginia, with the inscriptions E pluribus unum Monticello 5 cents and United States of America. By 1956, the Jefferson nickel had been in circulation for nearly 2 decades, and the Mint was producing millions of these coins each year. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 67 million nickels in 1956, while the Denver Mint produced more than 32 million, making the total mintage close to 100 million pieces. This abundance means that many 1956 Jefferson nickels were common in circulation, but despite this commonality, certain varieties and high-grade examples are considered quite valuable to collectors. To truly understand the 1956 nickel, one must look at the political and economic climate of the United States. In the 1950s, it was a time of post-war prosperity, suburban growth, and cultural change. The nation was in the midst of the Cold War, yet domestically it was a period marked by economic expansion. The Jefferson nickel of 1956 reflects this stability and growth. It was a coin used in everyday transactions from buying groceries to paying for transportation, a reminder of how important small denomination coins were in American daily life. Collectors today focus on several aspects of the 1956 Jefferson nickel condition. Is paramount coins that were saved in pristine uncirculated condition, often graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, can fetch significantly higher prices than those that circulated heavily. Because the coin was minted in such high numbers, circulated examples are extremely common, but finding a flawless or nearly flawless coin is rare. Mint State 65 and higher coins with sharp strikes and full steps on Monticello are especially desirable. The term full steps refers to the horizontal lines at the base of Monticello. If all of these steps are fully visible without breaks, or wear it greatly, increases the value of the coin. Another key aspect of the 1956 nickel is its place within the broader Jefferson. Flawless or nearly flawless coin is rare. Mint State 65 and higher coins with sharp strikes and full steps on Monticello are especially desirable. The term full steps refers to the horizontal lines at the base of Monticello. If all of these steps are fully visible without breaks, or wear it greatly, increases the value of the coin. Another key aspect of the 1956 nickel is its place within the broader Jefferson series from 1938 to 2003. The design remained largely unchanged, with only minor modifications. Coins from the early years, particularly those struck during World War II with silver content, are especially notable, but the 1956 nickel belongs to the standard copper-nickel composition era, being struck from 75% copper and 25% nickel. The design itself, by 1956, had already become a familiar sight to Americans. Thomas Jefferson's image symbolized the values of liberty, democracy, and intellectual achievement. Monticello on the reverse represented Jefferson's contributions to architecture and his devotion to building a lasting legacy. These symbols made the nickel not just a piece of currency, but also a small monument carried in the pockets of millions of Americans. Examining the minting process helps one appreciate the 1956 nickel even. More coins of this period were struck on high-speed presses using planchets carefully prepared from the copper-nickel alloy. Dies were engraved with Schlag's design and struck under immense pressure to transfer the image onto the blank metal, although quality control at the mints was strong differences in striking pressure die wear. And handling meant that not every coin came out perfectly. Some coins had weak strikes or partial steps on Monticello, while others were crisp and sharp. These small differences create the variations that collectors pursue. Looking closely at the Philadelphia and Denver issues, the Philadelphia mint coins bore no mint mark, while the Denver mint coins carried a small D mint mark to the right of Monticello on the reverse. Both issues are relatively common, but Denver mintages are lower, making those coins slightly scarcer when found in high study bags and rolls of these coins, carefully searching for the elusive full-step designations. Beyond condition and mint marks, the 1956 Jefferson nickel also reflects the artistry of American coinage. Felix Schlag's design was functional, yet elegant, balancing the needs of mass production with aesthetic appeal. His rendering of Jefferson's profile captured a sense of dignity and strength, while Monticello stood as a symbol of American heritage. Collectors often note how the portrait evolved over the years as dies were modified and replaced, giving each era its own subtle characteristics. In the larger context of American numismatics, the 1956 Jefferson nickel is not considered a major rarity, but its story and the pursuit of exceptional examples make it important for students of coinage. It bridges the gap between the wartime silver nickels of the 1940s and the design changes that would eventually come decades later in the early 2000s. For many collectors, it is a starting point, an accessible coin that introduces them to the world of numismatics, while also offering the challenge of finding high-grade pieces with full steps. Assembling a collection of Jefferson nickels, including the 1956 issue, requires patience and attention to detail. Some collectors focus on complete date and mint mark sets spanning from 1938 to 2003, while others concentrate on quality, pursuing only the finest examples certified at high grades. Still, others are fascinated by errors and varieties, searching for coins with doubled dies, repunched mint marks, or other anomalies that slipped past the mint's quality control. Over the years, auction records have shown that high-grade 1956 Jefferson nickels with full steps can command impressive prices. While circulated examples remain worth only a few cents above face value, the rarity lies in the condition and the perfection of the strike. This makes the 1956 nickel a coin of contrasts, common in numbers yet scarce in true gem quality, easy to find in circulation for decades, yet challenging to locate in pristine form. In conclusion, the 1956 Jefferson nickel represents more than just 5 cents. It is a coin that embodies mid-century America, the artistry of Felix Schlag, and the enduring legacy of Thomas Jefferson. It speaks to the role of small change in the economy, the challenges of minting billions of coins, and the passion of collectors who search for perfection in tiny details. For those who hold a 1956 nickel today, whether in circulated condition or as a brilliant uncirculated gem, it is a tangible link to the history of the United States, to the daily lives of Americans in the 1950s, and to the timeless pursuit of numismatic discovery. What if I told you that in the world of rare American coins, one single nickel from 1939 could carry with it a story of history, scarcity, artistry, and value? A story that collectors and historians continue to chase to this very day. This is not just a 5-cent piece. It is a window into the past. It is a reflection of American resilience, and it is one of the most talked about Jefferson nickels ever minted. Stay with me as we travel through time and uncover the complete history, secrets, and rarity behind the 1939 Jefferson nickel, a coin that proves how something small can hold an enormous story. The 1939 Jefferson nickel holds a special place in American coin history, and to understand why, we must go back to the late 1930s, when the United States was still feeling the effects of the Great Depression. and the world was on the edge of the Second World War, the Jefferson nickel itself was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel which had been in circulation for 25 years. The change was not just about design, but also about symbolism. The nation wanted a coin that honored one of its founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, the author of the Declaration of Independence, and a man whose Monticello home would soon become immortalized on American currency. In 1938, a public competition was held by the U.S. Mint to design the new nickel. The winning design came from a German-American sculptor named Felix Schlag. His portrait of Jefferson faced left, and the reverse of the coin featured a detailed image of Monticello Jefferson's famous Virginia estate. The new design was officially placed into circulation in November 1938, meaning that the year 1939 was the very first full production year of the Jefferson nickel. And this is where the story of rarity value and collector interest truly begins. The 1939 Jefferson nickel was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint produced a different number of coins, and as always, the quality of the strike varied. Philadelphia, being the main mint, produced a very large quantity of coins, over 120 million, but not all coins were equal. Denver produced fewer, and San Francisco produced even less, with some mintages being considered scarce, especially in higher grades. What makes the 1939 Jefferson nickel especially fascinating is that within its mintage there are multiple varieties that continue to intrigue collectors. The most famous of these is the 1939 double die reverse variety, where the word Monticello and the denomination 5 cents appear doubled due to a misalignment in the die striking process. This error created coins that display strong doubling on the letters, and these coins, when found in high grade, are extremely valuable to collectors. Another important variety is the 1939 reverse of 1938 and the reverse of 1940 difference. This refers to subtle changes in the Monticello design that occurred in the transition years. The reverse of 1938 had weak details, while the reverse of 1940 was sharper and better defined. Some 1939 nickels were struck with the older reverse, while others with the new reverse, creating a crossover year that has long been a key point of study in numismatics. Collectors who specialize in Jefferson nickels know that the 1939 issues are some of the most important in the series. They combine early date rarity with fascinating varieties and historical significance to add more to the story. The overall quality of the strikes in 1939 was often poor. Many coins lack full steps on Monticello, which is a grading standard that collectors use to measure strike sharpness. A nickel with full steps, meaning all the steps on Monticello are completely visible, is rare and brings premium prices. The 1939 D nickel in particular is known for being very difficult to find with full steps, making it one of the true key dates of the entire Jefferson series. Beyond rarity and varieties, the 1939 Jefferson nickel also carries historical weight. It was minted during a time when the world was dramatically changing. America was on the brink of entering World War II, and within just a few years, the composition of the nickel would change to include silver. Because of wartime metal shortages, the pre-war 1939 nickel represents the last of a peaceful era before the war nickels of the 1940s would alter the composition to save nickel metal for military use. Thus, the 1939 issue stands as a snapshot of America at the dawn of a new and uncertain decade. From a collector's standpoint today, values of 1939 nickels depend heavily on condition, mint mark, and variety. A common circulated Philadelphia example may be worth only a small premium, but a high-grade example, especially with full steps or a double die reverse, can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. The 1939 D with full steps is one of the most sought-after Jefferson nickels, often commanding very high prices. The San Francisco issue, while not as rare as the Denver, is also considered important, particularly in uncirculated grades. For numismatists, the 1939 Jefferson nickel serves as a perfect example of how coin collecting is not just about face value, it is about history, art, mistakes, minting technology, and scarcity. Each coin tells a story, and the 1939 nickel tells multiple stories at once. It tells of the change from the Buffalo nickel to Jefferson. It tells of the artistic vision of Felix Schlag. It tells of a country seeking stability during uncertain times, and it tells of collectors who decades later still chase varieties, mint marks, and full-step strikes with passion. When you hold a 1939 Jefferson nickel in your hand, you are not just holding a 5-cent coin. You are holding a link to American history. You are holding the first full year of a design that remains on our currency to this very day. You are holding a coin that bridges the gap between the Great Depression and World War II. And you are holding a piece that could be a simple common coin or an extraordinary rarity depending on its details. As we continue to explore the 1939 nickel deeper, we must break down each mint and each variety with professional detail. The Philadelphia issue was the workhorse, producing over 120 million coins. Many of these survive today, but the majority do not show sharp details. Only a small percentage display full steps, making them highly sought after in gem uncirculated condition. The Denver issue, with a mintage of just over 3 million, is the true key date of the year. This coin is scarce in all grades and rare in mint state. With full steps, collectors know it as one of the great challenges of the Jefferson series. Finally, the San Francisco issue, with about 6 million coins minted, falls in between, not as rare as Denver, but still limited and especially valuable in higher grades. The doubled die reverse is an entirely different story. This error was created at the Philadelphia Mint and is considered one of the greatest varieties in the Jefferson nickel series. The doubling is strong and visible without magnification, making it extremely popular among collectors. Even circulated examples sell for strong premiums, and in mint state, this variety becomes a true prize. Over the decades, the 1939 Jefferson nickel has proven that it is more than just pocket change. It has become a case study in the art of coin collecting. It is a reminder that not all coins are created equal. Some carry the burden of history and rarity. Others hide their value in tiny details like mint marks, step counts, or doubled dies. The 1939 nickel is all of this combined, and that is why it continues to be one of the most researched, studied, and collected coins in American numismatics. So whether you are new to coin collecting or a seasoned expert, the 1939 Jefferson nickel deserves your attention. It is a coin that captures the essence of American history. It connects you to the art of Felix Schlag. It reminds you of the challenges of pre-war America. And it offers a treasure hunt that can still be pursued in rolls collections and auctions. To this day, the next time you come across a nickel from 1939, look closely, because you might just be holding not only a piece of American currency, but a piece of American legacy. Tell a story of history, value, and legacy today. We uncover the mystery and hidden treasures of the Jefferson nickel from 1940, a coin that carries more than just 5 cents in metal. It carries the story of America itself. The Jefferson nickel of 1940 stands as one of the most intriguing and historically important coins in American numismatic history, and to understand its true meaning, we must go back to the origins of the Jefferson nickel series itself, which began in 1938 when the United States Mint decided to replace the long-running Buffalo nickel that had been in circulation since 1913. The Buffalo design, though loved by many, had become difficult to strike with sharp detail, and the Mint sought a new coin that would not only represent American values, but also honor one of the nation's most influential founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the author of the Declaration of Independence. In 1938, the Treasury announced a public design competition to select the new nickel, and the winning artist was Felix Schlag, a German-born American sculptor, whose design presented a left-facing portrait of Jefferson on the obverse with the word liberty inscribed, alongside the motto, "In God We Trust," while the reverse carried the iconic image of Monticello Jefferson's Virginia home. This design was chosen for its dignity, clarity, and ability to strike well in the minting presses, and it became the face of the 5-cent piece for decades to come. Now, as we move into the year 1940, the United States was still emerging from the Great Depression, while also keeping a watchful eye on the mounting global tensions of World War II. Though America had not yet entered the war, the economy and the culture of the nation were already being shaped by the possibility of conflict, and coins like the Jefferson nickel became both a symbol of everyday life and a tool of commerce that supported the national economy in times of change. In 1940, the Jefferson nickel was struck at three different mint facilities: the Philadelphia Mint, the facilities, the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint, each producing millions of coins, yet with subtle variations in mint marks strike quality and rarity that today attract collectors. The Philadelphia Mint produced the highest number of 1940 nickels, with no mint mark present on the coin, as was the custom for Philadelphia issues. During that era, the Denver Mint marked its coins with a small d located to the right of Monticello on the reverse, and the San Francisco Mint marked its coins with an S in the same position for collectors. These mint marks are crucial in identifying and classifying the coin, the 1940D and 1940S nickels, while not exceedingly rare, still hold a premium over the Philadelphia issue in higher grades, and the quality of strikes, particularly from San Francisco, can vary significantly, making gem-quality coins difficult to locate. When considering the design itself, one must notice that Felix Schlag's work, although elegant, went through modifications before final approval. His original design for Monticello had a more three-dimensional perspective, but it was changed to a flat head-on view for easier striking, and over the years the Jefferson nickel design was criticized for being plain or uninspired, yet it remained in circulation largely unchanged until 2004, when the Westward Journey series brought redesigns. The 1940 Jefferson nickel therefore belongs to the earliest years of the series and represents a piece of American history just before the Great Transformation brought by World War II. Collectors often examine the 1940 nickel for specific varieties and errors such as doubled dies, repunched mint marks, or striking anomalies, which can greatly increase the value of a coin. For example, a doubled die obverse, where the inscriptions show clear doubling, can command significant interest among numismatists. Although not as widely known as some of the later wartime silver nickels, the 1940 issues have their own place in the world of rare and collectible. American coins condition also plays a huge role in determining value. A circulated 1940 nickel may be worth only a small premium over face value, but coins in mint state especially, those graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services, can reach much higher prices, particularly if they exhibit strong luster-clean surfaces and sharp details of Jefferson's portrait and Monticello. The historical context of this coin also adds to its significance. In 1940, Franklin D. Roosevelt was president. The nation was slowly mobilizing its industries, preparing for potential involvement in the war, and American culture was shifting toward unity and resilience. Coins like the Jefferson nickel circulated through the hands of ordinary Americans, buying goods during a time when every cent mattered. They were carried in pockets of workers, soldiers, and families, becoming silent witnesses to an era of uncertainty and transformation. The legacy of Thomas Jefferson himself also infused the coin with symbolic weight. Jefferson was not only the author of the Declaration of Independence, but also the founder of the University of Virginia, a champion of individual rights and a complex figure in American history, whose vision of democracy still resonates today. By placing Jefferson on the nickel, the United States Mint reinforced the values of liberty knowledge and Republican governance at a time when those values were being challenged abroad. As we continue to explore the coin in more detail, we see that the metallurgical composition of the 1940 nickel was the standard copper-nickel alloy, consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This composition remained unchanged until the wartime years of 1942 to 1945, when nickel was removed from the coinage to conserve the metal for war production. Those wartime nickels are known as silver nickels, but the 1940 issue retains the traditional alloy and represents the last peaceful era of Jefferson nickels before the changes of the Second World War. Throughout the decades, collectors have come to appreciate the 1940 Jefferson nickel not just as a coin, but as a piece of American storytelling. The wear on a circulated example speaks to the millions of hands it passed through and the economic life it supported, while a pristine, uncirculated example represents the craftsmanship of the mint and the enduring beauty of Schlag's design. Auction records show that top-graded examples of 1940 D or 1940 S nickels can bring strong prices, particularly when they achieve the designation of full steps, meaning the steps of Monticello on the reverse are fully visible without wear or weakness. This full steps designation is one of the most important measures of strike quality for Jefferson nickels, and collectors pursue it with great passion. The Jefferson nickel of 1940 is therefore not merely a small 5-cent piece, but a window into the artistry, economy, and history of the United States. It reflects a moment in time just before global conflict would reshape the nation, and it remains a treasured object for collectors, historians, and those who value the tangible reminders of America's journey. Every detail from the portrait of every detail from the portrait of Jefferson to the architectural rendering of Monticello carries meaning and significance, and by studying these coins, we preserve not only numismatic knowledge, but also the cultural heritage they embody.